Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fraternity and Sorority Life at Georgia Tech. This webinar is for our summer FASET sessions in 2022. If you are unable to attend FASET in person or attend our info session there, feel free to watch this webinar and get a little bit more information. We'll be going into a little bit greater detail than we're able to in our time slot at FASET. So I want to first introduce our Fraternity and Sorority Life staff to you. 4 out of the 5 of us are on the webinar today. We have 3 professional staff members that oversee specific councils within Fraternity and Sorority Life, and we have 2 graduate interns working in our office this summer. So Dr. Jameson Keller is our director. He's also an assistant dean of students, and he works specifically with the Interfraternity Council. That's 30 fraternities in our community. My name is Maddie Smythe. I am a coordinator of Fraternity and Sorority Life. I specifically work with our Collegiate Panhellenic Council, which is 9 of our sororities, and I also work with Greek Housing. And I'll let my other colleagues introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Attilis August. I am a coordinator for Fraternity and Sorority Life, and I advise the National Panhellenic Council, also known as the Divine Nine, which has 4 sororities and 4 fraternities, as well as the Multicultural Panhellenic Council, which is mostly an Asian interest council with 3 fraternities and 2 sororities.
Hey friends, my name is Emily Little, and I'm a graduate intern in the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life this summer. So helping work on some projects and getting things ready for y'all in the fall.
Hey y'all, my name's Angela Cardenas. I'm one of the summer interns working in Fraternity and Sorority Life, similar to Emily, just working on some summer projects and helping this team get ready for the fall. So to kick us off, we're just going to go over one of our most important aspects of what it means to be Greek here at Georgia Tech, and that is academics. I think it is really important to point out that our Greek-wide GPA here at Georgia Tech is higher than the overall undergrad GPA. I think that is a huge accomplishment worth celebrating and noting for our students who are part of the Greek life community. And I think this is probably largely in part due to the systems that are in place within chapters and just Greek life in general that help support members through study hours and major mentors and tutoring and providing the space for students to really thrive as students, because we know that our Georgia Tech students here really value their academics. And so that is not something that's overseen within our community. And we really think that it's a great accomplishment that our students work hard while also holding a role within Greek life. And then we have campus involvement, which I think is also important to know. I think often students might feel like if you join Greek life, you can only do Greek life, but that's not the case here at Georgia Tech. Our students that are involved in Greek life, also over 87% of them are involved with other campus organizations. And that could mean that they hold leadership roles within those organizations and also build community outside of Greek life. So they're connected in other aspects of our campus community, which could be really important for the way that they grow as a leader here at Georgia Tech. And so we just want to make sure our students know that being a Greek student here at Georgia Tech doesn't mean you're only a Greek student. You're also a full person in other aspects.
Another aspect that's really important in the fraternity and sorority life community here at Georgia Tech is service and the impact that we can have on the community, what that looks like globally, nationally, and specific to the Atlanta community. So last year, our community fundraised and donated over $400,000 in philanthropic contributions. So that's monetary donations and fundraising to a charity. And then we also contributed over 62,000 hours of service in the last year. So most of our organizations have a specific charity or philanthropy that they spend a lot of their time fundraising and doing service for specifically. So as you're kind of considering going through the recruitment or intake process, something that we would really encourage you to do is to look at what these philanthropies and service organizations are for each of our organizations and kind of look and see what ones might be things that you're really passionate about already, knowing that if you become a member of that organization, you're probably going to spend a good amount of your time working towards that cause. Another huge aspect that's something that's shared amongst all our councils is valuable connections. I know for the most part, most of us, once we graduate from Georgia Tech, something that's important to us is we'll be looking to find a job. That's something that you might not be the first thing you think about when you think about fraternity and sorority life, but it's something that can have a big impact on what that looks like for you after college as well. So while you're still in college, while you're in your undergraduate career, there's opportunities for that within your organization. If you're a member of a Greek chapter or organization, there's mentorship opportunities. Something Angela mentioned earlier is academic mentors. Something that also exists in a lot of our organizations is a big little partnership. Essentially what that means is you'll be paired with someone who's older than you in the organization, who has kind of walked some of the paths that you'll be walking, who can kind of pour into you and be intentional about helping you and guide you over the course of your 4 years while you're in college and kind of prep you for what that looks like after the fact. Something that's also a huge deal is the alumni network that being a member of a sorority or fraternity offers you. When you join a fraternity or a sorority, obviously you are gaining friends and sisters or brothers in your chapter at your college, but you're also becoming brothers or sisters with everyone who has ever been a member of your organization at different schools across the country. That's something to think about when you think about networking and you're looking to go to a job. That's something that even if they're not necessarily in the same chapter as you, when you walk into an interview and you realize that you both share the commonality that you were Greek in undergrad, that's something that is a connection to start off without even having to thought about anything else. So definitely something to consider. There's also aspects for you to continue to be involved in your organization after the fact. There's graduate chapters and alumni involvement. So it doesn't necessarily have to end right when you graduate college. There's opportunities for you to continue that throughout the course of your life. And also just aspects of job opportunities and things that your specific organization can help connect you to, both while you're in college and after the fact.
So we just gave you a bunch of information about what makes all 52 of our chapters similar. And of course, they're all working for great academics. They all have an impact on the community, valuable connections, and campus involvement. But now we want to kind of give you an understanding of how our community is sort of broken down into different councils. So I've said the word council before. What I mean by that is sort of an umbrella organization that oversees a certain number of different chapters. A chapter is a specific fraternity or sorority. So we've got 4 councils, and again, those are kind of the governing bodies, the umbrella organizations, and those are CPC, the Collegiate Panhellenic Council, IFC, Interfraternity Council, MPC, Multicultural Panhellenic Council, and NPHC, the National Panhellenic Council. The reason it's important that you know the differences between our councils is because depending on which fraternity or sorority you're interested in joining, you need to know what council they're a part of so you know which recruitment or intake process that you want to participate in. So if you say to us, I want to be in a sorority, do you want to be in a CPC sorority and go through CPC recruitment? Or do you want to be in an MPC sorority and go through their intake process? Or do you want to be in an NPHC sorority and go through their intake process? So it's important that you understand the differences and the nuances between these councils so you know how best to join an organization that you're interested in. So this is kind of an overview of how many chapters we've got in each of our councils, their logos. And I want to also draw your attention to the part on the slide here that says how to join. So if you go to our website, greek.godtech.edu, and you click how to join, there's a menu that you can kind of see more specifically the recruitment and intake processes and a little bit more about each council and which chapters fall into those councils on our website. So now we're going to give you sort of an overview of the recruitment process or the intake process for each of these councils. So first we'll talk about CPC. So like I said, CPC stands for the Collegiate Panhellenic Council. The way that you would join a CPC sorority, most commonly students will go through primary recruitment in August. There are going to be some small opportunities in the spring, but it's not guaranteed. The way that most students join a CPC sorority is through primary recruitment in August. And this is going to kick off during Welcome Week. So when you come to campus in the fall, you'll move in and there'll be a week full of activities for you to do before classes actually start. So the Wednesday of Welcome Week, that's August 17th, we will start CPC recruitment. So registration is required to go through this process. You'll have to register and pay a $40 fee. The $40 goes towards some of the logistical costs like venue rentals and the software system that we use to put on recruitment. And that's non-refundable if you do sign up. The link to sign up is on the screen. It's highlighted there for you. The sign up process is pretty short. It shouldn't take you too long. Some people have questions about whether or not they need to have a letter of recommendation or, they need to have somebody they know that is in a sorority to do this. And that is absolutely not the case. At Georgia Tech, letters of recommendation are not required or hardly used. Actually, a couple of years ago, nationally, most of our organizations decided that letters of recommendation would have no impact on the recruitment process at all. So please do not stress and feel like you need to get letters of recommendation. I recommend you don't, just to make your life a little bit easier. There is also a QR code on the screen. If you are interested in meeting one-on-one with a student who is on the CPC executive board to answer some additional questions about recruitment or just kind of get to know someone, please feel free to scan the QR code and sign up for just a 10-20 minute one-on-one with a student this summer. Just a little overview about what the recruitment process will look like. It's going to be about 4.5 days long. So each day will be a different round. So each round you will sort of narrow down your options in a mutual selection process. So the first round you will attend all 8 of our NPC sororities and you'll get to know them. And then each day you'll kind of choose which ones you would most like to go back to the next day. And you'll kind of narrow that process down until the final day when you've got 1 or 2 sororities left, and you'll have the opportunity to choose from there. You also will be paired with a recruitment counselor, which is an upper class student who has disaffiliated from her sorority for a short time to help you in the recruitment process and be an unbiased mentor for you as you go through the process. Once you sign up, your recruitment counselor will likely reach out to you over the summer via email or text, put you in a group chat with other students going through the recruitment process so that you can have your go-to person right away once you sign up. If you have any additional questions about CPC, there is a list of frequently asked questions on the CPC website. You'll see it on the screen, gotechcpc.com. There's a recruitment tab, a list of frequently asked questions. You may be able to find an answer there, and if not, you can feel free to contact me as I am the professional staff that oversees this council. And I also would encourage you to follow their Instagram at GTCPC, because over the summer, they'll be releasing lots of tips about the recruitment process. They'll be doing different chapter spotlights. So you can kind of start to see all the different options that you have for a sorority to join. There is one additional CPC sorority that does not participate in primary recruitment. And this sorority is called, it's an associate chapter of CPC. So what that means is they're a bit smaller. They don't have a house, and they have a special interest. So AOE, Alpha Omega Epsilon, is actually a STEM-based sorority. So if you're a STEM major and interested in a bit different of a sorority experience, but still a sorority experience nonetheless, to join AOE, you do not need to go through primary recruitment. They have their own recruitment process that actually happens the second week of classes in the fall. So there's more information about that specific sorority also on the CPC website. But if you're interested in any of the other 8 sororities in CPC, I would encourage you to register for recruitment There's no obligation to join if you register, even if you have at least just a little bit of an interest or just want to meet other students going through the process just to make friends. I would encourage you to sign up. The next council that we have is IFC. That's the Interfraternity Council. So this council has actually 30 fraternities. So this is our largest council. Those 30 fraternities are all situated under an umbrella, like a national umbrella organization called the NIC, the National Interfraternity Conference. So these organizations are the ones you may see when you drive through our campus and you see some of their houses. 29 out of 30 of these chapters do have a house in the Greek sector. I think one of them you can see on the screen here. They also have a recruitment process in the fall. So their dates are August 18th through the 23rd, and registration is required. However, there is no fee to register. You can see the link on the screen, and I believe the QR code also goes to the registration. It's very short. It should only take you about 5 minutes, no fee, no obligation to join. But if you're interested in joining an IFC fraternity, I would encourage you to register. Once you register, that's kind of how you will receive more information about when, where to go, different orientation processes that they'll have prior to IFC recruitment. So prior to the first day of recruitment, there will be some different potential new member orientation sessions put on by the IFC Executive Board. And so they'll kind of give you some tips and tricks on how to go through the process. They'll probably tell you things like, we have 30 fraternities and there's only about 5 or 6 days. It's likely impossible for you to attend all 30 of those fraternities. It's really important that over the summer, you start to do some research about which fraternity you might be interested in joining, maybe create a short list. So when recruitment comes, you kind of know which houses you want to prioritize in attending, because it's going to be really difficult for you to spend a good amount of time at all of the houses. The IFC recruitment process is much less structured than the CPC recruitment process. It's sort of a choose your own adventure. You really have the opportunity for a window of time in the evenings throughout the dates provided here to go to the different houses and just chat with the members and build relationships that way. At any point during the recruitment process, you could receive a bid. A bid is an invitation to membership. So that means that that organization is inviting you to join, and you can either accept or decline. You also do have the opportunity to receive more than one bid in the IFC recruitment process. So you could receive a bid on Thursday, and then a different one on Friday from a different organization, and another one on Saturday. So we always say that it's important that if you do receive a bid early, to maybe sit on it for a while and think about if this definitely is the organization you want to join, or if maybe you're still interested in a few others and you want to see if perhaps you get a bid from another organization too, and then decide between what your options are. We would hate for you to rush into a decision and then you spend the first 6 months in a fraternity and then realize, oh, maybe that other group over there would have been a better fit for me. So encourage you to do your research. All of our chapters are listed on our website. Look at their national websites to see kind of how they were founded, what their values are, and their national philanthropy or charity that they support, the different educational programs that they provide for their members, and then also look at their individual local chapter social media accounts or websites to kind of see what the Georgia Tech chapter is about here. If you have any additional questions about the IFC recruitment process, you can contact Jameson Keller, our director, and his information can be found on our website. You can also contact the executive officers of IFC if you want more of a student perspective. The other thing to know is there will be IFC recruitment coaches that you will have an opportunity to talk to throughout the process. So this is going to be a group of men that are there to help you navigate the process. Similar to a recruitment counselor for CPC, this person will be able to chat with you if you're conflicted about which fraternity to join, if you maybe have a bid to 2 different organizations and you're unsure. These recruitment coaches will be there to help mentor you through the process. So make sure you utilize them between those dates.
So next up, we have MPC, which is the Multicultural Pan-Hellenic Council. Within this council, there are 5 organizations, 3 fraternities, and 2 sororities. Now, this council is comprised of culture-based organizations, and here at Georgia Tech, we happen to just have Asian interest organizations. Now, while they are Asian interests, they are not exclusive to only Asian students. They are open to any students who are interested in their organizations. They do a lot of philanthropy, community service. They do focus on academics, like all of our chapters here at Tech. The only difference is that there is a focus on celebrating culture. So with MPC, the best way to learn more about them is to attend their recruitment kickoff at the beginning of the fall semester. Recruitment kickoff is a series of tabling events just to get to know the different organizations, to get to know the people in the chapters. You can mingle with them, talk to them, get to know more about the different chapters here. And so thereafter, every organization will have their own set of events, about 4 to 8 events. And you're free to attend as many as possible, just to get a feel of what each organization has to offer. And if you get along with the people in the chapter, because that's really important, because it does become your family and your friend group. And thereafter, they do have a new member education process, an application process, and then they will do new member presentations. So it's important to follow them at their Instagram that's up on the screen at gt.mpc, because here's where they will be announcing the different events for their series of recruitment events and recruitment kickoff to learn more about them. And then you see the website there where you can learn more in depth about how MPC recruitment does work. I want to encourage you to use some time over the summer to visit the Instagram just to learn more about the individual chapters, learn about how they work on a national level, learn about what philanthropy each organization focuses on, learn about their values and mission and purpose, so that you can decide which organization aligns best with you before attending recruitment kickoff. So you kind of have an idea of what organization seems best fit for you. So next we have the MPHC, the National Pan-Hellenic Council. This is also a culture-based council. There are 8 here on campus out of the 9 that are nationally recognized in this council, 4 fraternities and 4 sororities. The only MPHC organization that we do not have here at Tech is Iota Phi Theta. And if you are interested in being a member of that specific organization, I would encourage you to reach out to their headquarters to express that interest. So it's on their radar that there are students at Tech who are interested in that organization. So with National Pan-Hellenic Council, it is very important that you do your research prior to school starting if you're interested in being an MPHC. Unlike the other councils and organizations, it's important that you decide on the one organization that you want to be a part of. And once you do figure out which organization you're most interested in, definitely keep that to yourself, but show interest by attending their events, following them on Instagram to keep up with them. If you have class with someone who is in one of these organizations, it's okay to speak to them, to build a relationship and talk to them prior to applying to be a part of their organization. So in order to be eligible to apply for one of these organizations, you do have to have 12 credit hours from Georgia Tech. And so unfortunately, first semester freshmen are not eligible, but if you receive 12 credit hours in your first semester here at Tech and have the required GPA, which is usually a 2.5, you are eligible for intake in the spring. And so there isn't an overall MPHC intake process or recruitment process for everyone. That is on a chapter by chapter basis. They decide as a chapter when they will or won't have intake. And so that's why it is important to attend their events to get to know the members so that you're informed once they do decide to do intake. So go ahead and follow them on Instagram at GT_MPHC, so you know whenever they're having events and you can be a part of that. Also, if you're interested, the second week of classes is MPHC week and convocation. So what this is a week full of events hosted by all 8 chapters on campus. So you can decide which events you want to go to get to meet the different members. And then on that Friday is convocation. Now, convocation is special because you get to meet everyone at the same time, and it's like a big informational. So along with doing your own research during the summer, you can get to hear information from the individual members of the chapter, so you can further decide on your own which chapter at Georgia Tech that you are most interested in. So the QR code right here is an interest form. Those interest forms do come to me, and I do advise MPHC. And what I will do is send you any information or updates on events once you fill out that form, so that you can make sure you are in the know, in the loop, and involved, and you don't miss out on any potential time to get to know these members.
So some specific membership responsibilities that are going to be similar to all of our organizations, regardless of council, is going to be some type of weekly chapter meeting that you will have to put on your calendar and attend. Oftentimes, as a new member prior to being initiated, you will also have some additional meetings where you will need to learn about the organization and their values, their history and founding, et cetera, before you'll be initiated. So oftentimes during that new member education process, the time commitment is a little bit more than what it will be after you're initiated, and you just have that weekly chapter meeting, usually about an hour. The other requirement by council that's similar is a financial requirement, but by council, it's going to be very different in terms of cost. So in our guide to fraternity and sorority life that will be coming out, published probably mid-July, there's going to be sort of a range between all of our councils that you can look at. It's hard to give you one specific number on a webinar, like of what is the cost, but typically there's going to be some type of new member dues that you will be required to pay prior to initiation, some type of chapter dues that assist with different social events that the chapter will put on, or different expenses that the chapter may have. And if you're joining a chapter that has a house and you plan to live in it, of course, you will also be expected to pay rent. The other thing too that comes with houses oftentimes is a meal plan. So some of you might be thinking, I already have a Georgia Tech meal plan, so I don't need a fraternity and sorority meal plan. But what you'll see happen is if you join an organization with the house and a meal plan, they will want to get to know you over food. They will want for you to come and eat lunch and dinner with their brothers or sisters so that you can integrate yourself into the chapter fully. And so they will ask that you opt into their meal plan. And so what we have is something called the Greek 100. This is a Georgia Tech meal plan that is actually much smaller than the required first year meal plan that many of you may probably have. And this allows for you to lower your meal plan to accommodate for the additional meals that you're going to have at a fraternity or sorority house. So more information will come about that if you do actually end up joining a chapter with the house. You will get a ton of information from our office about deadlines to switch to that meal plan. You cannot switch to that meal plan prior to joining. It's only after we confirm that you have joined a fraternity sorority and have signed on to their meal plan do we allow you to make that switch. So we'll send you a form and we'll take care of that for you in the fall and or spring if you decide to join in the spring. The other requirement that's going to be similar for most of our organizations across councils is some type of service hour requirement, or perhaps if you join an organization that doesn't do as much service but does more philanthropy and fundraising dollars for a charity, you may be required to fundraise a certain amount of money or work a certain number of charity events. Many of our chapters, though, will just have a service hour requirement. Well, they will pick a local nonprofit in the Atlanta community to actually integrate themselves into Atlanta better and get to know the community. And you will be required to do that number of hours as well throughout the semester or year. So make sure when you're deciding on whether or not you want to join a fraternity and sorority that you think about the fact that there is a time commitment. Of course, all of our students that are in fraternity and sorority life are also students, and they also do well in their academics. And so they're able to balance it, but it is something that you're going to have to work on. And we are happy to chat with you more about that. And there's also going to be plenty of older members in your organization that can help you kind of figure out that balance for you.
So another opportunity that our office provides for our students who are in Greek life are educational programs. And so our goal with this is to make sure that we're creating space and opportunities to be connected with you all throughout your journey here at Georgia Tech as a Greek life student. And so all new members will be required to go through our new member education. And this will happen in the first 3 weeks of membership in the semester that you decide to join a chapter. And then another opportunity we have is our Greek Officer Summit. And this is an opportunity for our leaders within the Greek life community to attend a leadership conference to learn how to create a vision for their community. And then we also have a Greek Emerging Leaders Program, which is an 8-week cohort-based experience. Basically, a cohort is a group of students at Georgia Tech that you will be with throughout those 8 weeks. And this helps to give newly initiated members the tools to learn how to make their experience as a Greek life student at Tech the best that it could be. We also have a program called Greek Leaders Advancing, which is typically for our students who are sophomores or juniors and maybe thinking of or considering becoming a leader in their Greek life chapter. And then it allows them to learn how to perhaps engage in that and then also bring positive change into their chapter. And then we also have a graduating member series, which is a program for our seniors as they navigate the realities of entering the real world and what that means for them. And so our hope with that program is to create the space and conversation for our students at Georgia Tech to ask questions and explore what it'll look like to be an alumni of Georgia Tech and also be a Greek life alumni and what that looks like for them post-grad.
Now, with being young adults, newly young adults, and maybe being away from home for the first time, you're faced with making your own decisions and making responsible decisions. So it's not exclusive and mutual to Greek life in itself, but just with coming to college and deciding to be a part of Greek life, there are alcohol and risk management opportunities. So I will say that the national organizations, all of them across all 4 councils, have their own rules and regulations when it comes to alcohol and substances. All of the houses that we have on campus for our Collegiate Panhellenic Council are alcohol-free houses. For our fraternities that have houses on campus, some are alcohol-free, a lot more of them are hard alcohol-free, and that is something that is enforced by the national organizations. At another level, the Institute itself has policies. So Georgia Tech, we have our own set of policies regarding alcohol and risk management. And this is for anyone who has a house or even doesn't have a house on campus. So we work very closely with OSI, which is the Office of Student Integrity, and they have their own processes on how to keep Greek students accountable when it comes to alcohol or any acts of risk management. So it's definitely something to keep in mind when you're coming to college, whether you decide to make Greek life your home or not, there are definitely risks and consequences to the decisions that you now are faced with making as a young adult who is now living on your own on a college campus.
So like Jennifer mentioned, we work really closely with the Office of Student Integrity. So starting in about 2018, Georgia Tech started making public actually all violations of this for student organizations against the Student Code of Conduct. So I would really encourage you to take a look at this website. Parents and families may also want to take a look at this website, because this is a listing of every organization, student organization, Greek or not, that has violated the code of conduct. Many of them will be for alcohol violations. Some of them may be for hazing violations, and we'll get to that slide in a second. But this is going to be a really good way for you to do your research about which organizations you may want to be a part of, and maybe see their history in terms of the decisions that that organization has made in the past. So regarding hazing, we do want to make sure that you understand that hazing is against the law in Georgia. Recently, in July of 2021, the Georgia legislature passed a new hazing act called the Max Groover Act. It's actually named after Max Groover, who is a student at LSU, but originally from Georgia, the Atlanta area actually. Who died of hazing during a fraternity new member process. And so we want to make sure that we educate you on what hazing is, and that we make sure that you can identify if that is happening, you know how to report it, because like we said, it is against the law. So the new Max Groover Act changed slightly the definition of hazing to that, so that it's regardless of a victim's willingness to participate or not. So that's important to remember. Regardless of whether you want to participate in an activity that may be dangerous or humiliating, or you may be pressured to do, even if you're willing to do that, it still could be considered hazing. And a person who commits hazing is actually going to be guilty of a misdemeanor, a high or aggregated nature, and could result in a $5,000 fine or up to a year in jail. So it's a pretty serious offense. You're not going to want that on your record. And we take hazing very seriously at Georgia Tech. So like I said, you will see some organizations that have now closed or been suspended for hazing on our campus on that website that was on the previous screen. If you ever feel like you're experiencing hazing, we want you to report it to us. There's a number of ways you can do that. You can make anonymous reports on our website. If you go to greek.godtech.edu, there's going to be several buttons on several different pages where you can anonymously report hazing. You can also feel free to always call our office. If you're, a parent or a family member and you're concerned, you're not sure if something seems like hazing or not, give us a call and chat with one of our professional staff members. Send us an email, and we're happy to talk with you about what's going on to make sure that all of our students are safe.
And something that Maddie mentioned a little bit earlier is our guide to fraternity and sorority life. And the guide pictured here is the guide from 2021. So that's currently up on the website. But by the time you're watching this, the new updated version for 2022 might be posted. That will also